Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of Barn Find Restorations. We just got our next project tractor in. This is a John Deere B. It was dropped off in the condition of the motor was stuck, but it had been broken free, and now the customer wants it to run and get it all painted up. I don't know a whole lot about the history of the tractor, but we're going to tear it apart, take a look in the engine. I looked through the spark plug holes and I saw some orange. So we're going to, at a minimum, hone the engine out. I don't think the customer wants to actually rebuild it. Upon turning the flywheel, it still has pretty decent compression when you close the petcock valves. So we're going to just open it up and kind of see what the inside looks like and get an analysis. But to start off, we're going to take the sheet metal off so we can start prepping that for paint. And to do so, it has Phillips screws all around, but they are all rusted on. I can't get them off with a vice grips, or the screwdriver just wants to break off. So we're going to grind the sides off a little bit so I can get a wrench on it, and then I'm just going to order a new set of screws for it, and it'll look much nicer anyways, because these ones are all kind of worn out. So we'll get started on it. Alright, so we got that all finished up. As you can see, I already took off the side panels, the nose piece. But a little tip I'll show you quick is, so once you get it ground down like such, kind of see there's two sides to it. And then I like to use this tool right here. So it's a regular crescent wrench, but it's got like a vise on it. And what that does is, since these are kind of oddball shaped, once you get the wrench on it, then you can lock it on it, and it seems to grip on a little better. You could use vice grips too if you wanted, but those aren't always as strong as these are in the jaws. There was only one that broke off, but I should be able to tap that out, or drill it out and get it tapped out. So first you take off the nose piece, and then you can pull off these sides. To pull these sides off, don't forget that after you get the main screws off the top, there's one in the back, and then there's two on the sides, but then there's three that hide in here. There's an upper, middle, bottom. Kind of see if I flip it around where they are. But the only problem is you can't get in there to grind them off or anything. So to do that, luckily for me, all three of them came out without any problems. This side was actually missing all of it. The other side had its three in there still, but they came out without a problem. So otherwise, you could always drill them and tap them out if you wanted. Sometimes a little heat will go a long way. But next up is we got to take the hood off. And to do that, unless I'm mistaken, you need to take the entire steering column out, because there's no way to slide it off around this, and I'll move the camera around and show you in a sec. But to do that, you have to take the steering wheel off, and we'll take the end of the box off here and thread out the steering shaft and pull it all out the front. And like I said, I'll move the camera around so you can see that. So that's the next project. They definitely did not make these as easy as farm-alls, where you can just pull the pins on the four corners and it lifts right off. And then there's, what, 4 bolts on the grill. And in the gas tank, there's only 3 bolts. I've worked on a lot more farm-alls than John Deere's, but we don't discriminate in restoration world here. So I'm going to move the camera around and I'll kind of show you how that works. Alright, I'm going to show you this real quick. We are taking this piece off and this piece up here so we can see what we're doing, and removing the steering wheel so we can just slide that shaft right out here. Well, you gotta unthread it too, because it's like a worm gear. And then I'll show you a lovely mouse nest that we found tucked up here by the radiator shutter. This shutter is seized up, it appears, but it wouldn't be the first shutter that I fixed. That one on the wall up there is from a W6, and that thing was garbage when I found it, and now it works. Just saving it for the right tractor. But as you can see, there's no way to get that hood off because the steering wheel shaft's in the way. So to get the steering wheel off, we just got to take that big nut off. I would assume there's a key in there, and we'll either put a gear puller on it, or maybe it'll be nice if we can take just a hammer to it and get it off. Also, it would be a good time to convince my client that he needs a new steering wheel because, well, this one kind of speaks for itself. So we'll get started on that, and then we'll get back to taking the hood off. Alright, so that came off ridiculously easy. I kid you not, I hit it twice with a hammer and it just fell off. You can see it's a little shiny, so maybe somebody's worked on it recently in the past. But steering wheel is off, so all I did to get the nut off was I put a pipe wrench on the back side and then a breaker bar on the front, and the nut broke loose really easy. And then the steering wheel just slid off. I've never had it happen that easy before, at least on the other tractors I've worked on. So, you know, when you do it yourself, or if you're watching this video to try and do it yourself, just know that it might be a lot harder than that. But next up, we're going to go to the front, and I'll show you how to pull that shaft through, and then we can continue getting the hood off. Alright, so I took the end cap off, and that's sitting right here. You can see there's the bearing in the end of it. And then this is that worm gear I was talking about that controls the steering on the front end. So then to get it to start working out, I just slid the steering wheel back on, and I believe I started turning it clockwise, and instead of the front wheels turning, it will start pulling the shaft forward, and the worm gear will keep coming out forward. And once you get it out of the gear itself, you should be able to just pull it on through. And when you're turning to know if you're going the right way, you'll see where it's all shiny right there. That was inside of that spot, that bushing area. So as it turns, it pulls forward. And once we get it out, we'll just yank it through, and then I want to say we're almost ready to pull the tin work off. We still have to take off some screws back there yet, and disconnect the shutter, I believe, and maybe the choke too. I'll look into that. So we're going to finish pulling this shaft out, and then we'll pick up from there. So I'm just going to show you guys how to get the hood off with it actually already being off, so I can point things out that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. But to start off, when you pull the steering shaft out, there's a bearing on the back side of that worm gear. See it right there? Just make sure you hook it with a tool and pull it out with the shaft so it doesn't fall off in there. Otherwise, you might have to take the top off to get it back out. That being said, to start off with the hood, you want to take these screws off on the back side here. And then next up, you're going to have to deal with the shutter. So to start with the shutter, there's going to be a pin right here you want to take out, and I will show it to you over here. Just like this. It's just a little hole right there. I think I broke mine off. Yeah, so pull that pin out, and that'll come right out. And then this other side, you can see that there's a threaded rod on the back side anyways. That comes all the way up to these two rivets. And then there's this little control arm in here. And how that works is as this screws out, it pulls back on this and pivots, pushing that and moving the radiator shutter. So to get that out, if you just put a socket on that nut or a wrench and hold it tight, you can literally just unscrew this and that'll separate the two. Then you have your thermostat piece that was kind of wired through part of the hood. And then right here, there's two bolts. They have, on this one anyways, it's got square head and nuts. Those are a bugger to get at. I had to use a swivel, and my lovely Harbor Freight swivel broke on its first attempt, which made it so much more fun. But other than that, it wasn't too bad to get at. So once those two are out, then the bottom of the gas tank is disconnected. Then next up is this lever, and if I'm not mistaken, right, that's what controls, show you over here. There's supposed to be a valve right here, because this is the reserve tank. And as you can see, this is covered in probably JB weld or something, and it's missing, probably rotted out. So that wasn't connected to anything on mine, but you should be able to just disconnect it and then pull that rod right out. And then the tank should be ready to lift right up off. This is all one big assembly. So just pull it all off. I'm not sure if this reserve tank is going to get reattached or not. Just knowing the client, he's probably just going to want me to leave it the way it is and paint it up. But we're going to look in the gas tank and make sure that there's no leaks or anything. So other than that, it wasn't so bad. I lifted it off by myself. And now that the hood is off, we have the opportunity to replace the muffler, which bolts on right here to the radiator. You can see it's snapped off right here. Somebody just welded this wire on, and then you can see the little muffler back there that they had stuck in there was upside down. Not really how it's supposed to go, so we'll get that all taken care of. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video of getting the hood off and getting started. Next up, we're going to be tearing that motor apart, kind of looking inside of it, see what's going on. Another video, we're going to be taking the wheels off, showing you how all that works, because there's plenty to dive into here. And we're going to look into these lovely patches that somebody put on the side of this tire. The customer wants to keep the original tires on, so we got to try and figure out how to make it a little more pretty without these big ugly clamps. So yeah, if you like it, drop a like and subscribe. There will definitely be more videos on this project, and I'm excited to get started on it. Thanks for watching.